Hello everyone. Today I've got 3 more fantastic indie horror books for you to read. And whether you're looking for vampires or maybe you're looking for sex demons, and let's face it, we're all kind of looking for sex demons at this point, right? Yeah. Or you want something a little different and a little bit weird, this video has you covered. There's something in here for everybody. And as a reminder, I have horror books for sale, and you can find the books you see on your screen at the link in the description. They are only $1 each. And don't forget to pick up your Read More Horror t-shirt. That link is down below, and there are many colors and many sizes available for you to wear proudly. All right, let's get started. So the first book I want to talk about today actually came out in 2019. It's been sitting in my TBR for a while, and I finally decided to read it. And this happens often. I think to myself, why did I wait so long? It's called In the Valley of the Sun. This is a vampire story, but it's a very different kind of vampire story. It's set in the 80s, most of it. It's set in Texas under that hot, blazing summer sun that Texas is known for. And there's a guy, I hesitate to call him a protagonist, although he kind of is. He travels around in a truck with a camper on the back. He doesn't seem to have any goals. He's just kind of a nomad. He just kind of wanders from place to place, taking odd jobs occasionally, and things like that. But the reason I don't call him the protagonist is that even though he's an interesting fellow, and he seems to be quiet and introverted and doesn't seem to want to harm anyone, we know in his past he has already killed 3 women. Yeah, he's had some trauma in his past, and he gets to a certain point and it's like something else takes over. He calls it his other face. He puts on his other face, and he can't seem to help himself, and he strangles these women he picks up in bars and honky-tonks, and he strangles them with his belt. So he's kind of a serial killer, which isn't really the best protagonist of the story, but I kind of like that because he's kind of both at once. Yes, he's done horrible things, but he's also the key player in this story. And one day he sets up at a little RV kind of place that has a restaurant. It's owned by a mother and her 10-year-old son, and she decides to let him stay there and do his hookups and everything for his camper for free in exchange for some work around the place. She's bought it, but it's, you know, she has a hard time keeping up with all the chores. She could use an extra hand. And so she says he can stay there for free as long as he does his chores and helps out around the place, which works out for both of them. He's very quiet, very reserved, but eventually, you know, he starts becoming involved in the lives of this woman, you know, who's a widow, and her 10-year-old son. Well, one day he's at a honky-tonk. He decides to go have himself a few drinks, and he meets Rue. Now, Rue seems to be just a younger lady, but Rue is a very vicious vampire, and she picks him because she knows exactly what he is on the inside. She knows that he has killed before, and to her this is very, very attractive, because in this story, when she turns somebody, if they feed off human flesh, human blood, then she gets replenished as well. So she convinces herself she is an ally in him. And so they hook up, and she turns him, and his change is not instantaneous. But eventually he starts acting a little different. He can't hold down solid food. He has to wrap his all his exposed flesh and his face in you know, cloth, because, you know, when the sun touches his skin, it starts blistering and peeling. And this causes some concern for the woman because he's kind of hanging around her son and everything. But he just brushes it off and says, oh, it's just a skin condition, it's just the heat and this and that, and she kind of believes him. And as the story progresses, we're going to find out things about this woman and her son, and we're going to find out more about his past. We're also going to find out about Rue's past and what happened to her in 1935. And the creatures in here, these vampires are not playing around. They are not nice and sparkly and shiny. These are very vicious, horrifying creatures, especially when they're not in their human form. And the author does a great job in describing those. And it really sent a chill up my spine. I'm like, this is the kind of vampire book I really love. And that whole atmosphere is great for this book. You know, it's set in Texas, it's set in the 80s, and you can feel the sun beating down on you. You know, you can taste the dust on your throat. This is more of a literary vampire novel, but it's still very thrilling and very exciting. I absolutely loved it, and of course I highly recommend it to you, and there is a link below where you can pick up your copy in the description. And next we have Succubus. Now, despite where your mind wants to go, no, this is not a horror novel based on your favorite porn site or anything. This one is really fun. This is a great, fun, bloody, entertaining kind of book. I absolutely loved it. This concerns a female heavy metal group who calls themselves Succubus. And they're making a name for themselves. They have a huge underground following. They're doing a cross-country tour. And a brother and a sister who have been metalheads their whole lives, they decide to go to one of the concerts together. But this band does things a little differently. They surround themselves with satanic imagery, and everybody thinks it's because they're trying to stand out and be edgy and everything. But there's a rumor that before every concert, they pick 3 concert goers, 3 fans, and at the end of the concert, these 3 lucky fans get to go into their bus by themselves and have kind of an after party with the band. But there are rumors swirling about what happens on that bus. So of course, with a name like Succubus, a lot of people believe there's a sex demon involved, and that occult, supernatural things take place. But anybody that comes off the bus simply says, oh, it was just a really good time. Until they start slowly changing, and some of their more earthly physical urges start to take them over. Let's just put it that way. And her brother, our protagonist's brother, he gets picked at this concert, and he insists nothing happened, just a wild party, and maybe he got laid, you know, and he's all happy about that. But pretty soon he just disappears from his sister's life. He doesn't answer her phone calls. He doesn't have any contact with her, and she thinks that's suspicious. And in the meantime, there's this girl who has corpse paint on her face, and she shows up at the sister's door saying, your brother's in danger. What he did, there's something evil, there's something wrong with this band. They are actually very much witches, and people that get picked are marked for death by this sex demon they have. Of course, the sister doesn't believe any of that, but she starts investigating on her own when her brother starts acting really strange and in a way he's never acted before. And she's going to find out that this woman is telling the truth, that there is something very evil, very terrifying about this band and how they're selecting the people from their concerts and some of the things that are going to happen on that bus. And she's going to find out that some of these fans that have been on the bus before, they have suffered horribly before they died. But all these fans' deaths gets brushed off as either suicide or murder-suicide or something like that, because they come from different areas and different states. Nobody's making the connection that they were all chosen to go on the back of this band's bus. But the sister is going to find out, and now she's in a race trying to save her brother if she can, trying to find out what the secret is about this band and how and if they can be stopped, and what kind of rituals and occult things that she doesn't even believe in, but anything she has to do to try to save, to try to stop this from happening to anybody else. It's a very great story. I love heavy metal. I love books about the occult, and this one has both of those. I really appreciate all the metal references in here as well. As a heavy metal fan, I always appreciate that. So yeah, it's very exciting, it's very terrifying, it's very bloody, and of course I highly recommend it to you, and you can pick up your copy at the link below. And next we have, this book kind of took me by surprise. I was over there on the social medias, and they also said, hey, my book's going to be free for a couple days, and I decided to take advantage of that over on Amazon and the Kindle. And the synopsis sounded great, and I thought I'd read it. And man, this one, it was way better than what I expected. I mean, this one, it kind of blew me away with how good it actually is. It's called Scatter, and this is kind of this is grief horror, but it's wrapped in, it's almost cosmic horror, like liminal spaces, kind of weird story. It's about a man who loses his wife, and he's in the deep throes of grief and sadness, and he can't stay at his house because he feels like, you know, everything reminds him of his wife. The walls are closing in. He decides to take a drive with nowhere in particular to go. He winds up in a town, and this town has this huge resort and casino. Like, this resort holds a casino, but it also holds almost like a city within a city. Like, you would never have to leave there to live. It's almost like its own little city, and he decides to stay there for a week. Hopefully a week away from home will be enough for him to get over his grief and allow him to have some sleep and some peace. But no, there is something weird about this place. There is something weird about the people, the regulars that go to this casino. Not only the extreme amounts of gambling, but weird, bizarre, out of the ordinary things start to happen almost right away. He keeps hearing the same song over and over, and we're going to find out the meaning of that song later in the book. There's a guy there who has a bunch of people who follow him, and he doesn't seem to lose, and the casino doesn't seem to mind. He can sit down at a blackjack table and every hand, 21, 21, 21, and he's raking in the chips. Well, our protagonist tries his hand at some slot machines, and he just starts putting more and more money into it. He almost becomes obsessed, and he wins a little, then he loses a lot. There's people he tries to make friends with, but are they really friends or not? You know, it's one of those kind of things. They're giant centipedes. Yeah, you have to read about the giant centipedes. Those are in there, and one day he gets lost in some place that is impossible for this place to exist. And it's bizarre, and it's weird, and it's horrifying, and it's frightening to think about, and I really love this book. So yeah, I highly recommend it to you. If grief horror is your thing and you want it with this surreal twist of almost cosmic horror, and you got bugs, and you got mystery behind what is this resort, and what is the meaning behind all of it, you are going to love this book as well. And again, as always, there is a link where you can pick up your copy in the description, and I highly recommend it. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.